Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. How many have seen the movie 300? You know the one fact that they don't bring out in the movie 300? Does anybody know? All you learned men of the world. They were all gay. Every fucking one of them was gay. Almost all the Spartan warriors were gay. So put that in your fucking pipe and smoke it. They found early on, fighting shoulder to shoulder with your lover, you fought harder. How knowledgeable are you? You don't have a fucking scintilla, that's not the right word, a molecule of knowledge. Because you only absorb the things that are within your comfort zone. The things that make you slappy fucking happy. Gay! You fucking cunts, worms. Back to Steve Jobs. To the best of my knowledge, wasn't gay. Go ahead.
He didn't give a fuck whether he was liked.
That's an understatement. Just like when that girl said she thought she had sitting right there. She had the traits of the Steve Jobs, and they say I leaped. And she's a senior. She's now retired from J.P. Morgan, and now got a big. She ran, I think her last job, but she ran J.P. Morgan's European Wealth Desk. So she knows everybody that's anybody. She was the one that still asked Andreas Miller, where does the equity come from? Remember that little Asian girl? Because I've seen these tapes a lot of times, I know what they're going to say 3 sentences before they're going to say it. And I've told you, somebody's hand up. Yes, sir.
The ending of that film was quite Hollywoody, where everything was okay in the end. Everyone liked each other, and he made up with his. He made peace with his ex-wife or partner.
Not wife, never married. Yeah.
Whatever, little girl and business.
And they didn't have a committed relationship. Right. Jesus.
I'm guessing that's completely inconsistent with reality. I don't know the end of his life. Is it just a Hollywood?
That's a happy slappy. Well, it wasn't happy slappy, but it was happy as slappy as they could do. I told you the Wozniak is a mentee, one of my mentees. And he never took the top jobs because he wanted to be liked. He never took, this is Wozniak. Zuckerberg's changed the world. Gates has changed the world. Ellison's changed the world. Do you want your kids to be like them? No. It's like when I'm at Oxford or wherever I'm, how many want to have kids? And they go like this. And I says, do you want your kids to be like you? And everybody laughs, no. Raise your hand if you want your kids to be like your parents. Nobody raise their hand. Raise your hand if you want your kids to be like your grandparents. Nobody raise their hand. And somebody in the back of the row jumps up and says, I had a grandfather that had balls. And if you think when your kids get to be the age of reason, depends where that is. Remember, my parents and my dad had only one goal for me, for Danny to reach the age of reason. We don't know if it's going to be 20, 30, 40, or ever. Some would contend I still haven't reached the age of reason. But I wanted to be like him. A real man. Not a cunt. My dad wrote, when I see these guys come out of the closet, God love them, you can be whatever you want to be, when they're 53 years old, and their parents are 78, 80 like me, that's a tough nut to swallow. That's a motherfucker. Are you contemplating, or are you going to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to get into this idea of this reality distortion. The reality distortion.
You mean like yours?
Sure. So where do you see the line between, let's say, a visionary and...
No, there is no line. It's an amorphous. It's smudged. Depending on where you are, who you're with, unfortunately for you guys, what book you might have read or what podcast you might have heard, you're swayed. I've read 6 or 7 books in my entire life. I've read those 6 or 7 books 6 or 7 times. I don't need anybody's fucking opinion. I'm not interested in opinion. But 99 or 98% of the world is. And it depends what you read. It's like when you, we have people that see the movie Barbie. I haven't seen the movie Barbie. That come out. Some people say, it's about the Barbie doll. Yeah, whatever it's about. Wasn't that a nice time of life when it was simple and Barbie had tits and, what does that mean? And then we have people that walk out of the movie Oppenheimer. A couple of famous people have walked out of the movie Oppenheimer. Because, that he changed the fucking world too. In fact, he changed the world more than all these other cocksuckers put together. Because now we know we can destroy the fucking world. But people a lot of people don't like the movie, apparently, so I can't wait to see it. The movie Oppenheimer, because, he's very matter of fact. There was a right way, a wrong way, and Oppie's way. There is no, you're talking about weak minds, Dustin. And compared to me, everybody's weak. Is the movie you saw about Jobs that he needed a blue shirt? Yeah. With a pocket, right? Whatever. He didn't give a fuck. Just go get me one. And the fucking computer didn't work. Is that the same movie? Now, I happen to have known. I knew the computer didn't work. And I couldn't spell computer back in those days. It doesn't matter if it works. See, you still think it's like Apple that didn't work for the model. Now, there's a lot of smart people around. I'm not one of the believers of this. There is a dual reality world. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But I know that some people are living in an amorphous of shit because they don't want to see the real reality, the real truth. I do believe that because I've been doing this long enough that I know, whatever you're smoking to be happy. I don't know how anybody in this room can be happy, even the most successful. Slappy happy, Barbie doll happy. I don't know. It's because you've got low expectations of yourself. That's why anybody in this fucking room could ever be marginally happy. Low expectations. And how did you get to low expectations? Well, I don't need to beat that to death anymore. Some of you had no expectations. You didn't have parents. You didn't have this. And if you you were abused, I was physically abused by my dad, beat me. He would have gone to jail easily. Anything else about Jobs? Okay. Oh, yes, sir.
He imposed his will upon the world. He imposed his will.
Just like Genghis Khan, just like Hitler. Was he interested if he was right? No. And when they brought him back to Apple, the guy that he hired a CEO, brought him back, who I happen to have known back in the day. It was one of the happiest days of his life because it was like, we were wrong and you were right, but that's not that's not the language. But he knew he was right and they had been wrong to throw him out. The best vindication, the best revenge is success. The very best vindication, the very best is super success. Yeah, in the back.
He was as selfish as he possibly could be.
I only want, I've already written my epitaph. I've already written my gravestone. And we have 3 versions of my gravestone. It depends which one Sally wants to use. He was selfish to the end is one of them. But now, I'm forced to live through you vicariously, which is fucked. Because you're cunts. Took me 24 years to do something I thought I could do in 6 or 7. But I never gave up. I still be doing it. I mean, I do seminars till I was 106. Even if I didn't hit $1 trillion. You would have given up and fallen away 25 years ago. Because you got to pay a mortgage. You got to pay a private thing where your kids go to school. You got to pay for your dementia, old crack asshole mother. I wouldn't have done any of those things if it got in the way of my goal. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, my mother was self-sufficient until she came here to die. And then she never stepped in the house. Now just think about that. Your mother living here, and she never came into the house to say hello, have a meal, have a cup of coffee. Just think about that. My mother was afraid of me. I still remember the day before she died, we're in the cottage, and we had 2 full-time nurses, 24/7, and we had a doctor here. Just in case, And she's whining about it. God damn it, shut the fuck up, Mom. You're not going to die. I leave, she's dead. I'd like to have that one back. That's one of my regrets, that I was so harsh. She says, I'm dying. I said, no, you're not, God damn it. You old bitch. And then she's, now see, you guys would have killed yourself. You couldn't have lived with that. I use it as strength. Makes me tougher. But Steve Jobs didn't give a fuck about anybody but himself. And I contend, and Steve Jobs would contend, and Bill Gates would contend, and all these guys that we read about, that you can't be all you can be unless you love yourself first. Nobody loves Dan Peña more than Dan Peña. My wife, Sally, God love her, worships the ground I walk on. But her love is transitory compared to my love for myself. My first wife, same deal. She loved the ground I walked on. But her love for me was transitory compared to my love for myself. Most of you in this room don't like how you turned out. Most of you don't like looking at yourself in the fucking mirror. You just got used to it. So call a spade a shovel, as they say in Yorkshire. You can't reach the heights of Dan or whoever until you admit to yourself, I'm an also-ran. Dan's right, I should have rolled down my fucking fat mama's leg. Until you come to terms with that, it was easy for Josh to come to terms with that. Do you understand? It was easy. And when I went to that fucking house, which I already explained to you, it still gives me shivers. Seeing all the little, by threes, the kids teaching each other. And when that 3-year-old took the vacuum cleaner, little short vacuum cleaner, and vacuumed up the rabbit shit, I almost fainted. I almost fucking collapsed. 3-year-olds, for those of you that have had a 3-year-old, are you kidding me? Yes, sir. No, ma'am. From a 3-year-old. And all of them, if I followed the progress, all of them are being successful today. All of them. One chose medicine. Actually, 2 chose medicine. One just academics. Wants to teach. One's a fireman. And the rest are still in school, not. Anything else about Steve? Goodbye, YouTube.